Welcome to the Pursue podcast, where today Kim and I will be talking to Amanda Hallesjö, a former Swedish U19 and U20 player who ended up playing Division 1 college soccer at Virginia Commonwealth University. Great to have you here, Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we need some more Swedes on the podcast, and it's nice to get you. Are probably one of our first Swedes that we've helped to the States, because you ended up going over to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth, in August 2014. So
exactly.
And we started that process, of course, way before that. It does take a bit of time to actually do the college recruiting process. And I'll tell you, I remember sitting in our office, if you can call it office back then. Suddenly we get contacted by Amanda Hallesjö from Sweden, Göteborg, Gothenburg, and we were like, oh, that's interesting. And it turns out you're a national team player as well. Even more interesting. So we started the dialogue and hit it off quite well. And
yeah, it did.
How was it? Was interesting for me, right? Being sitting in Norway at the time, and of course there's no real language barrier between Norway and Sweden. We can understand each other well, but it was fun for me to start working with you as a Swede. It was a bit different, but what about from your perspective?
I mean, I think that, like I said earlier, I had contact with a Swedish agency, but I felt like they weren't like professionally enough to help me, because I mean, if you're going to the US, I feel like you really need to be prepared and like have like the right tools to be able to go to like the right like tailored school for you. And I was just searching on the internet, and your website came up and it was like really like a really professional website, and I was like, well, you guys have helped quite a lot of players to like good schools, so I was just curious about what you guys could do for me. So I contacted you, and here I am.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, I'm trying to remember back to our you say nice website. I think we have a much nicer website now, that's for sure. But nice to see that or hear that you liked our website back in the day. It was probably a well-made, homemade website.
It was a good website.
Okay, that's good. But it got us talking, and it ended up that we started the process with helping you with your college process. And there's a lot of hoops you have to go through, but for you, and you touched on it there, to find the right fit for you. What did you want out of your college experience?
So the thing is that I didn't know when I first decided to go, because I was so determined to play professionally, and I had a contract at a team in Sweden in the highest league. So like right after high school, I got a contract, and it made me think, that's like, wait, is this actually what I want to do? Like, yeah, I had played for the national team, and I played in the second highest division, and I was like on the path of where I thought that I was supposed to go. But it made me realize that, like, okay, is this like expectations from others that I should play professionally in Sweden and like go on that path, or is it like actually what I want to do? So after a while, I started talking to two friends that did their freshman year at college, and they were like, Amanda, you need to go to the US. It's such a like, it's good soccer. You meet people from all over the world. It's good school, because they knew that I wanted to continue my studies. So they were like, you will regret if you don't try it. I mean, at least try a half year or a year. Like, then you can go back home and continue your soccer career, but at least try it. So that's why I kind of realized that, okay, I really want to do something different, and I want to try to just do what I wanted to do and not what others expected me to do. Because I think that if you are like in the national team and like there's so much expectations on you, and I think it's easy to just go with that. But when I was 19, I've always been a reflecting person. So I was like standing up.
It's a long answer. It's a nice answer. So it's continue, please.
Yeah. So I was like 19 years old, and I was standing there, and I was like, no, I actually don't want to go professionally here in Sweden. I want to do something more with my soccer. So I thought that, okay, so how can I convert like everything that I have done so far to something else? And I mean, it made me landing a full ride scholarship, and I think that that's something that I will always like cherish, that I actually went on that path instead.
Yeah, because to change the path, it can be difficult.
Really difficult.
You talk about the expectations, and Truls, remember when you started the process, that was more like we talked about it before. It was not well thought of, maybe in the same way. It was more, hey, my friends are going studying in Norway. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
But it's 4 months till I'm supposed to start studying, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do then.
Yeah, exactly. And with no, like, I can't put myself in your position at all, Amanda, because I was of no, I don't think the national team has ever thought about me ever. But to say that, like, for me, was all about what it has to feel right, what I want to do, right? And
exactly,
when you've played soccer for forever, right? From you were 4 or 5 years old, and you know that you can literally make something out of that, and like you get a full ride scholarship and get an experience traveling and do that, instead of having all those expectations of you from us here studying in Norway, doing the same thing as all your other friends are doing, or you in Sweden going the professional way and doing something different. And I think that would always be something that I will carry on with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like you said, like it is hard, because I remember a phone call from my coach in the national team, and I was talking to him about my plans on maybe going, and he was like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be really hard for us to keep track on you over there. So is this what you want to do? And I was like, okay, I need a day. But then I realized, it's like, yeah, no, this is what I want to do. But at the same time, I think that this was my path to go, like, with the mindset that, okay, I don't want to go professionally, but I think that you can definitely go to college and go back and play professionally as well. So I think that you can also use the US experience as a way of continuing your professional career. So I don't think that you, as soon as you go to the US, you are not going to play professionally. I mean, of course you can.
Yeah.
But for me, it was not really, like, it made me calm to, like, okay, this is not what I want to do. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Kind of feel.
Because if you look back on the U.S. national team in the World Cup, 21 out of the 23 players came from college. So it's just that is the route to become a professional soccer player in the U.S. I can understand that it's difficult for the national teams back in the European countries or any other country to kind of follow your progress, and you're just further away. But you can still see examples of college students playing currently that are being called up to the national teams for, say, qualification games, training camps, and some of them do it during the semester. So it is possible. But
for sure. I think Julia Roddar is a Swedish national player. She played in college and went back home and is playing. She played for Gothenburg FC, but she's in the full national team right now in Sweden.
So that's a good example of just one of probably many nowadays that make the move from college into the professional rank. So that's good. But I also think, there's unfortunately not too much money in the professional game yet, and you talk about a full scholarship, the full ride, as it's called. I mean, that is covering all your tuition fees, the money it costs to go to school, your housing, your food. insurance, your books. I mean, you pretty much
Everything.
everything. Hence the full ride. And you additionally you could get some CSN grants and some money to put in your pocket to help with that. So probably that contract, the national letter of intent and the scholarship agreement that you signed at VCU, it's worth a lot. You know, that's can't remember what that school cost, but probably like the $40,000 plus per year, and it takes you 4 years to do that. So
I know it was an expensive school.
so you get paid. Of course, it's not like you get the money into your account, but you just don't have to pay anything to come to that school. Comes with an expectation, of course, because you are expected to contribute and to be a good player and a student and all that. But you were a very good example of someone doing well, despite not having the pro ambition anymore. But some have that, others don't. But
Exactly.
Did you feel the process was a difficult one to get your head around all the things that was required for you to get to the States?
No. Easy answer, no. But I don't think so. I mean, the hardest part was to choose school. I mean, I think you guys did a really good job of like helping like with all the steps. I don't think I could have done it by myself. So that was like a really nice way of like, okay, you need to fill out this form. You need to do this. You need to do that. So, I mean, for me, it was just like, okay, I trust Kim.
Yeah, there is a process to it that, we have a good recipe for that. Probably improved that recipe quite a lot since 2014 as well. But it's just some of the things, regardless if you would have ended up in VCU or any other school, you have to do a lot of those, the paperwork. But so that is more, I would say, the tedious, boring part, but has to be done in order to actually get there on time and start the adventure. But what about the selection process because you didn't maybe know exactly what you wanted when we started. So that is, okay, a blank canvas for me and the team to try and find a good fit. But then you're getting options, but you circle back on VCU and doing our research on that school for you. It turned out to be the right fit for you.
It really did. I think, I don't know if you remember this, but in the beginning, I told you that I wanted like a really good soccer school. Like that was like my main thing. And I got, wasn't it LSU, I think?
Yeah, Louisiana State.
And then it was one in Kentucky, maybe? I don't remember, but it was two really good like soccer schools.
Kentucky, yeah.
And I think I was verbally committed to LSU, but then I kind of got cold feet because I realized again that, okay, wait, I wanted to do something like for the whole experience, not only soccer. So then I think that's when VCU was contacted, and I took a meeting with Lindsay and Scott, and they were talking about like the city and I expressed how much I loved art and music and like all of the artsy stuff. That is like a big part of who I am. And they were talking about all of the live bands at the bars and all the things that is going on. Like it's such a vibrant city, and there have been so many artists that are from Richmond, they have lived in Richmond, or they are living in Richmond. So that made me think that, wait, can I combine soccer with living in like the perfect city for me?
Yeah.
And then I talked to two of the teammates that I was going to play with. And Dallas is actually one of my best friends to this day. So she was actually the first person that I was talking to before I even committed. And she was like talking about like the same things, like how amazing the city is. And she was looking at my Instagram and she's like, oh, you seem artsy, like you like that? Well, we have that in Richmond. And she was a good promoter.
Yeah.
So
it's
after
important
that,
for schools to have, or coaches to have the
Players reaching out.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
And it gives also a good picture, not just a coach perspective on this, but because they will. Of course, this is more of a salesy process. Want to try and recruit good players to their program, and of course, within the realms of this is what it's like here. But to get a student perspective, it helps out a lot.
Yeah.
Exactly. So after that, I think I had made up my mind. I think it was one day when I was like between LSU and VCU, and I just went with my gut feeling, and it turned out to be VCU.
You ended that section perfectly there with VCU, and we'll pick up this section again by talking about VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. But it's Virginia. Where's Virginia, for if you can explain? Not everybody knows Virginia.
Virginia is on the East Coast, and I was living in Richmond, which is the capital city in Virginia. And it's like 2 hours away from DC. Washington, D.C. And it's like in between North Carolina and then South Carolina. And then New York is like on this way, like 5 hours away. So it's like, I really enjoyed it. I liked this, especially the city, but I liked Virginia. It's a lot of country. And it was kind of like a culture shock in the beginning. I hated country music when I moved there, and then I left, and I love country music. Like, that's the only thing I'm listening to now. So
yeah, no,
I kind of got brainwashed.
Yeah, it leaves a mark on it. I mean, I guess Virginia is still considered in the South in the U.S.
Yeah, I believe
although
so.
It's not like the deep South that I was in South Carolina, but still, it's. I remember studying in South Carolina and then driving up to Washington, D.C. A couple of times, and then you'll always go through Virginia, and never been to Richmond. Truls, you've been there?
Yeah, I've been to Richmond twice, to be honest. Once with a road trip from Boston down to Miami. We stopped in Richmond for 2 days, and I couldn't agree with Amanda more. It's a very vibrant city. Lots of cool live events going on all the time. I think it's a really cool city for actually young people to visit, and here in Scandinavia, I don't believe a lot of people have actually heard about Richmond and consider that as a place to visit. But that's probably one of the biggest advice I have for people that wants to see a different part of the U.S., not considering New York, L.A., Miami, Boston. I think Richmond is actually a great city to visit.
Yeah, it's a hidden
gem.
In a beautiful space.
yeah, it is a hidden gem. I think a lot of people.
Yeah, hidden gem.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in Scandinavia just thinks about Quantico, Virginia, which is the FBI headquarters where you get in different episodes. But yeah, other than that.
Exactly. A lot of people are talking about when I said that that I lived in Richmond. A lot of people was like, "Oh yeah, Richmond, Coach Carter."
yeah.
But no, it's Richmond in California.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Samuel L. Jackson was on the other. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it. It's good. It's good. But the school, what's the school profile like? Because there's like LSU is a huge school. That's Louisiana State University. It's like one of the flagship campuses in that state. Then you have some schools that are smaller, and I don't remember how many students there are at LSU, but probably like 40,000. And then you have some smaller ones. I went to school with 5,000 students. Truls, how many on your campus?
I think around like 10.
Yeah, 10, so it's medium size. What about VCU? What's the profile like?
The thing is that you won't really think about it, but I think it was like 30,000.
Oh, was that many?
Yeah.
That's easy. Okay.
So it was a big school, but it's like Richmond. Like, it was not like a main campus. Like it was like kind of like converted into like different parts of the city. So it didn't feel like a big school, but it was actually a lot of students going there. But I really liked it because it was such a multicultural place. There were people from all over the world that were studying there. So it was not only Americans, but it was like people from the Middle East. There were people from different parts of Europe. It was people from Africa. It was people from you name it. And it was
everywhere.
really cool to like be in like a setting with like, especially in classes when you have like discussion parts and you kind of discuss like different views on different topics. Because some people, I mean, some topics in the US, like I will have my point of view on that, and Americans will have their point of view of that because they grew up with it. And then you have like a completely different point of view on that same topic. And I think that you grow a lot because you not only are you able to like prove your point and like being a good discusser, is that how you say it? Like you are good at discussing, like that you get your point across, but you also learn to like listen to different perspectives as well.
Yeah.
So I think
It's
that
a
I grew a lot.
give and take. That is
Yeah.
part of studying abroad. I mean, not just in the US, but I think the world needs that more. You know,
For
the
sure.
understanding and seeing where other people come from. So it's another added benefit of going that route. And that there's, I mean, probably the more multicultural it is, the better. But I also think for like Truls, you went to school with a lot of Americans, but not only from New Hampshire, from all the different states. It's wildly different being from South Carolina and California and New Hampshire
Yeah.
or Virginia.
Yeah.
So it opens up your mind a little bit like that, regardless.
Yeah, 100%. You have, a lot of the close friends from the hockey team, for example, were from California. And they were totally different from the other guys that I knew that were from Massachusetts, Boston, New Hampshire. So, yeah, it's just an eye opener when you're there because you actually see the different cultures in the different states.
Exactly. Which you don't think that it would be, but it really is.
Yeah, it is.
Differences.
Yeah.
Like depending on what state you're from, for sure.
Yeah, and then you came over. You're still a soccer player. We haven't really. Let's dig deep into how it was to play soccer at the Division 1 level. Because maybe what's the difference between the level you were used to playing at in Sweden versus VCU?
I think the biggest difference is that in college soccer, everything goes so quickly. Like I was an outside back, and in Sweden, it's more tactical. So when you get the ball, you always have at least like 3-4 seconds to like open up, kind of decide if you want to pass the ball back to the goalkeeper, if you want to go like run, or if you want to pass the ball into the middle. Like you have so many options and you have time. But in college, you get the ball and you have half of a second before someone is on you. So like you really need to like, before you get the ball, you really need to, okay, I'm going to pass the ball there.
Yeah.
Like you really need to be so aware all the time. And that was something that was an eye-opener for me because I was so used to the thing, like, you get the ball and you have time and the people are like, okay, now she's coming. Now I have time to pass the ball back. But no, not in the US. You really need to stay on target all the time.
It's quite
So
intense, high fitness levels. You have the substitution rules that are a bit different. You can be subbed in the first half and then still enter in the second half and play. So it's like the rolling on and off. And you have a big squad, right? You have how many players did you have in your roster?
Yeah, I think we were 26 maybe. So that's quite a lot. Like that's like 2 full teams.
It is.
And
there's no second team, right? So there's 11 people or players start.
There's so many people that unfortunately are not even able to see the field, that are just training.
Yep.
And some people are recruited just to be a training player. So it's hard mentally. It's so hard. I thought I was mentally prepared, but you kind of realize when you're there that you need to like really like train your mind, because the coaching style is much different than in Sweden or in different like Scandinavian countries. Like the coaching style is like you're in or you're out. Like that, that's how it is. Like it's so like if you don't do well one game, like you're out next. Like you're out.
Yeah, it can
But
be
in
tough.
Sweden, it's more like, okay, had a bad game. We'll see how you do the next.
Yeah,
And then maybe in like
kinder,
3
yeah.
games, you will get like subbed. But in the US, it's like, no, you suck. Next.
But it's maybe a bit more pressure to it's
To
based on
perform.
results. I mean, it's
Fewer
not like
games.
they don't have as many games, and they have someone else just dying to get the chance to play instead of you, right?
I
So
know.
it's
Yeah.
you have to, of course,
Competitive.
they're very competitive.
Yeah.
And I love that about the US too.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, and it gets me fired up. Feeds off. I think if you have competitive teammates, and it helps. But of course, you want to also be able to play, and you are recruited to play, but you still have to deserve to play. That's
Exactly.
important.
So yeah, I mean, my freshman year, I played a lot of games, but there was a lot of games where I only saw the field like maybe 20 minutes. And I think that was good for me to like adapt to like, okay, I need to like put on some extra effort and really adapt to the culture before I can like be a starting player. Because I think that I was kind of a little naive. I think that I went there and thought that, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in a starting spot like right away. No. No, you need to like earn your spot. Even though you were recruited to start, like you need to earn it as well. So my sophomore year, I think I started every game. And then my junior year, I saw a little less playing time. And then my senior year, I played all of the games. Yeah.
I mean, you logged a lot of minutes, and you've been
Yeah.
a good contributor to the team, and you obviously playing in the Atlantic 10 conference. There's loads of different conferences. VCU belong to the A10. Our producer Emil sitting behind us here, he's nodding his head. He also played in the A10, a rival school of
Rival school.
of VCU. But was it a fun conference? Which places did you go and experience?
It was a fun conference. It was some really good teams. It wasn't actually, I mean, some conferences can have like kind of like the bottom teams that are not that good, and then they have like 3 teams that are like really good. But our conference was actually kind of like tied. It was like a good level, and all the teams could win or lose against each other. So it was fun. But where did I go?
You probably would. We've spoken with Kristin Haugstad. She was at LaSalle University.
Yeah.
So you've been up to Philly. I think you must have been to Dayton, Ohio, to play.
You know it more than I do.
You
Dayton,
went there on
Ohio.
the 17th of October, Amanda. Don't you remember?
Yeah, up in
you've
New
been-
England,
You've been to Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Emil is nodding.
Rhode Island,
Here.
yeah. Okay, so Rhode Island, LaSalle, which is Philadelphia, Dayton, Ohio. I cannot even say this word. It's such a hard word.
Massachusetts.
Hey, you're talking to
Massachusetts.
Mr. Massachusetts over here.
Yeah, I can say that every day.
You pronounce
you
it
can
so
say
well.
it, but you can't spell it.
Yeah, I can spell it.
Well,
I don't have to spell it right now, but I can spell Massachusetts. Yeah.
I mean, we are both. I mean, I was a communication major, so were you. But I can guarantee you, we will not be able to spell Massachusetts if they.
I cannot, and I cannot even pronounce it. So,
Exactly.
So the business guy can spell it, but not the company. Okay, all right, all right.
but and then I played in North Carolina. Yeah, I think that I should have remembered more, but it was like.
Yeah.
What
Sorry,
was your favorite spot to travel to?
My favorite spot. Oh yeah, we played in New York as well. What was the name of that school?
Fordham University.
Fordham. Thank you. This is embarrassing.
President
Fordham.
Biden
I think-
got a degree from there, I think.
Fordham, yeah, and he also went to the
Syracuse University.
No, Syracuse, and then he went to in Delaware.
Yeah, so I think actually playing against Fordham was fun.
Yeah.
It was a really, really beautiful, beautiful campus.
Yep.
and it was like in the middle, like not in. It was a little outside New York City, of course, but we had the time off the day before the game, so we were like walking around New York City.
Good timing from Lindsay to come in the day before, get some sightseeing, and I've been.
It was really nice of her.
Yeah, I've been to the Fordham campus. It's a 25-minute train ride in Bronx down to Grand Central Station. It's such a beautiful campus in New York.
It's so beautiful.
It is spacious, not at all what you would think of a school in. I mean, it's not downtown New York, but it's in the city. But it's like such nice facilities and beautiful.
So beautiful. Oh, the architecture. It makes my heart warm.
Well, you're an artist, but I really enjoyed it too. But how was the VCU campus? It's more of a in the city feel. Yeah.
It was more like a normal school. It was more the things around the campus that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of like Southern charm architecture, if that's a thing to say. Yeah, Southern charm architecture, like really beautiful, like row houses with a porch, like 3 storage. Oh, it was nice.
Yeah. What about the athletic facilities, your stadium, training facilities, and the treatment rooms and everything? Good standard?
Yeah. I think that was like one of the best parts because you really felt like a professional athlete. We played at Sports Backers, and I think it actually was like the best field in our conference. I'm biased, but it was. It was like playing at home was the best part because it was such a good field, and like the facilities. Like the treatment, like you could go and get treatment like all the time, and we had like really good gym instructor. He was a really good guy, and he was like really like taking care of us and saw if someone was like, okay, you are a little worn out now, Amanda, so you cannot train today, like sit down and like rest. So he was like very aware of like how people were feeling physically.
How was that compared to what you were used to in the setup in Sweden? You played obviously the second tier and then offered to play the top division, damallsvenskan.
Our coach were our sport gymnast. He was our strength and conditioning coach. He was everything. Yeah. So it was completely different. I felt more like I was playing professionally in college than I was actually doing in Sweden.
That's incredible, the number of people that work in the athletic department where their job is to get the best out of you as an athlete.
Yeah. And one of the best things were actually, we had a sport psychologist. And you know how like with mental illness and everything, like how it's kind of like not thrown upon, but like you don't really want to talk about it. It's like a hush. But like there, it was like, no, like go and talk. Like you seem like you have something on your mind. Like go talk to him. It was like very open to like use that tool or use like him as a way of getting better. Use him to get better on the field as well, and just like feel better overall. So I think that was a cool thing actually, that they were very open to like use him. If that makes sense.
It's important. And maybe did you feel, you have Americans that come to a new campus, a new place. They've probably visited the school and it's been in they know more about the whole college experience, whereas you have to kind of experience and be part of that culture to really understand the how to be a college student athlete. It's different. So, but you also add the element of you're flying from Sweden to Virginia, and Richmond is beautiful and everything, but you're still far away from everything that you know and is there to you. Was that a struggle, or did you find that went smoothly?
It was nerve-wracking in the beginning. You were standing there on the airport and you knew that you were going to be away from your family and friends for like a half year before you went back for Christmas break. I thought that I made the wrong decision. like right away. But then when you jump on the plane and you were like in the air, you kind of like that feeling kind of converted to like an excitement instead. So when I actually landed, it just felt right, but it was hard. I mean, if you think about it, we had practices during like in the middle of the day. So I had morning classes, and then I need to run to practice, and then I need to run from practice to my evening classes. And then right of a sudden it's like 9 p.m. and you haven't had time to study, and you had only had a snack. So like that, like time management was really hard in the beginning, to just be prepared that like, okay, tomorrow looks like this. I need to eat between this time and I need to study in between this time. So you need to really be good at like planning out your day. And I wasn't prepared for that when I first moved.
I think it's important to, we've spoken with many of our student athletes about it, how to learn how to eat, and we talked about running between classes with your meal, right? Sometimes you just have to, I mean, it is nice that you can set up your own schedule to pick when you want your classes, which professors that maybe your teammates liked, that say, hey, if you want to take this class, do it with Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
He's really exciting classes.
That helped a lot.
And because you get those tips, I imagine it was the same for you to pick the good ones and stay away from the boring, the one you don't want to really, the hardest ones.
The hardest professors, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I did that like in the beginning, like my first 2 years, but I was actually the only communication major in my team. So junior and senior year, it got a little harder to get tips from the teammates.
You were the one having to walk the plank and find out which ones are the best
hard
ones.
way.
Yeah.
But I remember you ended up with communication, and I'm also a communication major and got my degree in that, and I loved it. I started out with business and then figured, no, that's not for me. Ended up with communication like that. But you in the beginning, I remember you were drawing for your own portfolio. You were really maybe a little bit undecided on what you wanted to study right away, but you found your path in the end.
I did. I mean, so at Virginia Commonwealth University, the art school is like, it's known in the whole country. Like, it's a really good art school. And back then I wanted to do something with photography. So I decided to like make my own portfolio and try to see if I could get in. But it was so competitive, so I didn't. So I actually went to the US like undecided, and I was undecided almost my whole freshman year, I think. But then when I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do? And I was looking at the catalog with classes and majors, and I saw something with like creative advertising. And I thought, well, it has creative in it. So I'm creative. Let's try it.
So it could have been like, if it was creative mathematics, it could have been that.
Yeah.
It could
creative
have been
physics, yeah.
But so it was like a mass communication major with a concentration in creative advertising. But then I also got a minor in psychology, because I really think psychology and communication is like so important to combine, because everything with communication has to do with psychology.
Yep.
So that's why I took that as well.
Yeah. We get a lot of questions from the young hopefuls that are thinking about college about minor. Can you explain the minor concept?
So minor is a half degree. So it's like, how do you say it? Credits, that's the word. So it's like a certain amount of credits that you need to get, but it's not like a full degree, but it's a half degree. So I don't really know if that's actually gonna help like later on, but I think that it shows that you are like more adaptable and more interested in only like one major, and it shows that you like are how do you say it? I mean, that you're not only taking one major, you're taking like maybe two minors as well. I mean, it shows that you have grit in you.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more integrated in the U.S. system than there is over here, obviously. But
yeah.
I also did my minor in psychology, and I did marketing as my major because I thought that would fit perfectly, right? And I think that when people have read my resume and people that I've talked to have said, "Oh, I did a minor in psychology," I think a lot of people think that is a very positive thing to do. If you have the time and you later on you go in the college level, your freshman year you're probably not that good in time management, but sophomore year, junior year, and your senior year you're that good in time management, so you can fit that into your schedule and get that minor in. You did a minor as well, didn't you, Kim?
No, did I?
I think you did, yeah.
Maybe I did. I have to look back.
It's a long time ago. It's
yeah.
It's a long
I was
time ago
actually
now.
a French minor in the beginning
Oh,
because I wanted to learn
mon Dieu,
French.
Mon Dieu.
Mm,
No,
je
I
m'appelle.
think I think it's important, although it's not a thing here. With you show that you have some more interest and some more knowledge in a specified area. I think that's what helps with the minor. It's
For sure.
and it goes hand in hand with things. So it's not just you can put it in your resume and you can show that, hey, yeah, I actually know something about psychology.
Yep.
And if you can tie that knowledge into, but I also know a lot about creative advertising, so I know what people think and their behavior, and I can also then, with my perfect writing, get them to do what I want through my communication.
Yep.
That's a good example of what the minor could do for you then.
Exactly. Sort of like specializing you.
No, I was just gonna say that I remember that at my first job back in Sweden, that was a good way of like to have that psychology like backpack, or what do you say, mindset.
Yeah.
Like I was choosing colors for a specific like target group, and that was good because I was like, yeah, I mean, we're using this color because it shows that color gives you this kind of feeling and this kind of feeling, and it like to have that to like be more like an expert in your when you talk.
Yeah, it
Kinda,
helps.
like,
I mean,
shows
that's in advertising. It's important.
Yeah.
The message you send and everything, imagery, sound, what have you. But the years flew by, Amanda, and I remember we were in touch now and then about how it was going, and I guess your parents came over to visit you sometimes. I mean, how did they support you and really understand how it was for you to be a student there?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I'm very, very close to my parents, so even though they were back home in Sweden, I talked to them, if not every day, I talked to them every other day. So we have a really close relationship. So they knew everything. They knew exactly how I felt in college, and it was really nice to have them over to just like let them meet my new friends and let them see like my favorite city. But it was kind of funny because my dad loves France. Like he loves like everything about it, like the culture, the wine, everything. And we were walking by the river, James River, and I was like, "Look at this, Dad! It's beautiful." And he was like, "No, this is not beautiful at all. What's wrong with you? Like this is nothing like France." And that made me realize that I was like, "Yeah, I'm so in love that I cannot even see that this is not kind of like the best part of Richmond, because I thought everything was good."
Richmond is your Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Good PR for Richmond.
I know. Sure.
That's good.
I am the best promoter.
Yeah.
But no, it was really nice to have them over, and my brother came as well 1 year, and yeah, it was just. I think it was maybe like more fun for them to just see how I had it there, because I mean they probably missed me a lot and wondering how I had it like in the US, and then they got to like experience what I experienced, so they can like I can tell them how my feelings are and everything around me, but then they actually got there and got to see it with their own eyes. So I think that was a good thing for them too.
It's much easier to communicate and for them to understand. So yeah,
Exactly.
it helps, and it's always energy boost when you get your family. You probably played games with them in the stands, and get a bit fired up for that to show
Yeah,
them.
for sure.
But that's good. And then the cap and gown moment. You end up with getting your diploma. You're there in your outfit. How was that feeling of accomplishment and completing what you started 4 years ago?
I don't think you can express that with words. It was such a weird feeling. I mean, of course, it was like really nice, but it was like, whoa, it's been 4 years. And you were like walking the stage and you had like your name called in the mic, wrongly pronounced as always. It was like Amanda Hallesjö. It's like, well, it's been 4 years. You still don't got it. But I don't know. It was just, I don't know. Actually,
was it
was
relief?
Just
was it happiness?
It was not a relief.
Was it wow? Now I need to do something with my life. Were you like surprised? Oh, that went fast. I guess that's a feeling that many people have. That I got my diploma now. I finished. I'm not in my student bubble anymore.
I think that was the feeling I got. That right of a sudden, it was gone. I was like, wait, what happened? Yeah. And you kind of, when it's not like it's not a bad thing, but when you like leave something, it's so like easy to like look back on all the good parts of those 4 years, and you kind of like thought that oh my god, I want to do it again. I would do so much for like going back. But when you actually like reflect and like kind of calm down a little, like of course like I loved my 4 years, but there had been some like difficult parts as well. I mean, and instead of like being sad that it's over, you should probably be happy that like I managed to do all of that.
Yeah.
And
you should
I
be
got
proud
my degree.
You should be proud of that achievement. I mean, it's a milestone in your life to finish with a bachelor's, and then you have to, of course, plan for the next step. So, your parents are there, see you get your diploma, and they want to bring you home to Sweden. But no, Amanda, you've fallen in love with Paris, the Paris of the US, Richmond, and you're staying put. You're not going back to Sweden, not yet.
I should have been an influencer for Richmond.
Yeah,
such a good supporter. No, I actually
Richmond,
decided. Yeah, exactly. The feeling of going home versus like staying was like completely different. I was like, no, I need to stay. I'm not ready to leave this city yet. So I actually applied for an OPT, optional practitioner training. So it means that you can have an internship or work in the field of your studies for 1 year. So you have like another form of like visa to stay. So in order to get that visa, I needed to get like an internship or a job, right? So I reached out to so many companies and was like, hey, please have me.
Yeah.
I will do it for free.
I'll do whatever you want.
Just so I can stay.
Yeah. I remember you putting out writing samples and stuff when you were applying for that, because I think at that point you're writing, you were very into that, and you had your own website, and I read some of it. It was really good stuff that you wrote, artsy and nice. But you needed to hustle and grind to get the opportunity, because you have that 1 year OPT, and you in the end you got there.
Yeah. So I got an internship as you can call it like creative intern. I helped with layouts. I helped with writings. I helped with like everything in the creative process at a design agency called Boomhitch. So that woman that was running that company, like she ended up being my big mentor. Like she is the one that helped me do more graphic design stuff, because she was like, later, like that will help you. Like even though you want to be a copywriter, it will help that you will have like that visual mindset as well, and have the tools to do like easy stuff, like design stuff. So she helped me a lot. So I did that for a year, but I kind of realized after the summer, I think, that okay, now I actually need to start applying for jobs in Sweden, because I knew that I couldn't stay in the US. I mean, if I could have stayed, but in order to stay, then I needed to get my master's degree or get a job, and it's super hard to get a job visa when you have only how do you call it? When you only have a bachelor's degree. So I decided to start applying, and I landed a job in Stockholm at a communication agency. So I actually stayed after graduation. I stayed until March the next year, and then I moved from Richmond with like my 2 suitcases and moved back. I was home with my family for like 1 week, and then I moved straight to Stockholm and started my job there. And after like a month, I realized that, no, wait, what am I doing in Stockholm? I want to go back to Gothenburg, and I realized that I wanted to do more of my like writing, because that's like such a big part of who I am, and that's what I realized in Richmond also, that like writing is my thing. That's how I communicate. That's how I like show feelings. Like that's how I don't know. It's just so I love writing. So I started applying for jobs in Gothenburg, and that's what I'm doing today. Cool. I'm a copywriter.
Yeah.
I was thinking the internships, right? You talk about copywriter, coffee grinder. It's also like you're doing an internship. You have to start on the ground floor, and did you make a lot of coffee for the people there? That's like the ultimate intern in the communication.
I know, right?
PR. Hey, Amanda, can you put on the kettle? We need some coffee in here. Yeah, was it something like that, or is that more
it's
like
going to the coffee room and just copying papers?
Yeah, copy. No. Yeah, but also the coffee. Yeah, both of those.
Yeah, the mail room. Yeah.
Yeah. So none of that.
No, I got hands-on experience, which was really nice. Which is why I got the job in Stockholm. So I mean, it's kind of like a, how to say, like everything like fits perfectly together, like how I ended up being where I am today. Because if I weren't studying in Richmond, I wouldn't be able to get that like super good advice from a mentor at my internship. And if I didn't get that like really nice advice from my mentor in Richmond at that agency, I wouldn't be able to get the job in Stockholm. And if I didn't have the job in Stockholm, I wouldn't be able to have the job that I have today. So it all like aligns perfectly.
It's always the butterfly effect. Talk about that film, or sliding doors, where opportunities just happen because you make some choices way back. And hey, you emailed me at CSUSA, and that's where you can say, hey, it started because of that. But then you can go back to and then I scored in that game and I got it on tape, and VCU needed someone that could shoot a goal like that. You can go crazy thinking about those things. But some of the decisions you've made, they are for sure been extremely important to get to where you are now and enjoying your creative career within the field that you really, really love.
For sure. And I mean, if I hadn't stayed another year, I would have regretted it so much if I didn't stay like my 5th year. So that's the beauty of life. Everything just happens, and you
you go
roll
with
with
it.
it.
Yeah, you have to roll with it. Do like Oasis and roll with it. But I think it's what did your degree from VCU? Were you ready for the work life in Sweden based on what you learned there? Did you feel prepared?
Yes, I was prepared, especially with, I mean, we were talking about the time management before as a student athlete. That was not the answer to your question, but with the time management and like the degree, like you are fully ready to go on to like the big life because you are so like determined on like doing like well, because that's what you learned in like doing at like in the team. Like, you know, it's so competitive and you need to like be on your best, like need to be your best self all the time, and like converting that to like in a job situation, I think that really helps a lot.
And they value that, you feel, in Sweden? Because in the US it's a big thing, you know, that you've been a student athlete and they're very familiar with the concept of what you just explained, that's what it takes. But do
Yeah,
you feel that is something that they have a good understanding of?
for sure. I mean, at my the job that I have now, like my bosses, they are like they are talking to me all the time. It's like, Amanda, you are so determined. Like you want to win all the time. Like everything you do is like it needs to be like 100% right. But that's something that you have learned, and I mean that's like a good thing. But of course you need to calm down a little and know that some things it's just good enough.
Yeah.
And not everything can be 100%. But I think that they have told me a couple of times that you can tell that I have been playing soccer like professionally because of my like mental like
The mindset that you have.
the mindset that I have. But you can also see that I've been to the US because I am such a like adaptable person.
Yeah.
And I think I learned that in the US to just adapt to different cultures, different settings all the time. So yeah, I think that have helped.
Yeah. And many people find it maybe difficult to move away from your student bubble and being so comfortable. You talk about the 4 years flying by, and for me the same. It flew by. But then to move back home, like it's a bit cold turkey. You really miss the US and your friends, and I mean you typically you have 3 months of summer holidays, and typically I always went home for those. So I think you did the same, and
Yeah.
but was the to get back to being Swedish again, was that a challenge for you?
I would lie if I said that it wasn't a challenge, because I think most of it was that I was like putting my cleats away, like not having like that identity of a soccer player. That was the hardest part, because that was like my safe zone, you know. I know that whatever happens in the rest of the life, I know that I'm good at soccer. Like that's like my thing, and that's what I'm comfortable with. I'm safe here in this spot. And moving like away from that was like, it was really hard. And especially doing that in college, because like that is 4 to 5 years of your 20s. Like that's an important time of your life. I mean, you were like 18, 19, and then suddenly you're 25. Like that span, like you grow so much like during those years. And doing that like in another country with other people, and then moving back, because you like when you move from like your hometown, you kind of think that everything will stand still, but then you move back and you realize that nothing has stand still. And that was really hard in the beginning, to move back to that. And I was like, whoa, nothing is the same. And just growing and having those years somewhere else is kind of hard, I think.
Maybe hard
But
for the people that you knew that in your eyes, quote unquote, were standing still back in Gothenburg, but they haven't seen what you've done You know, they
Exactly.
might have read some of your blog posts, but they haven't seen it. And
Exactly.
your
And I
parents
think
have,
that
and
one
your
thing
family
too
visited
is
you.
sorry.
No, but your family, they know it, so they probably spread the word a little bit with people that are interested in your what you've done. But it's not the same because you haven't experienced the same things. But I would also say that eventually you'll just pick it up quite easily when you kind of, okay, now I'm here. Now it's time to get used to how things work here.
Yeah, but it will take some time because just like what you were saying, that my friends in Gothenburg, I mean, they didn't know what I was doing in the US. And for me, like I thought that they were going to be the same persons as when I left, and they thought the same way that I was going to be the same person coming back. But I mean, you're not, because you're not 18 anymore, you're 25. So you're a completely different person, and I think that was like a shock for like all of my friends. And for me, that was like we needed to kind of like build our friendship again. I mean, of course, like the foundation is there, but you kind of need to like learn to know each other again. It sounds so like feels.
Yeah, but that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also the same if you would have stayed in Gothenburg and studied, and then you had a friend who studied in Stockholm, and you see each other on the holidays, but you don't know what's going on. Although you can picture what it's like to be in Sweden, in Stockholm, and study, but it's more difficult to see how it is to be in Richmond and study and do what you did.
Yeah, and then I mean it's easier to go and visit your friends in Stockholm if you live in Gothenburg than going across the pond. But I mean, I think it took me a year before I adapted to Sweden again. It took a while, but it needed to take a while too, because it is different. I mean, I'm not in the bubble anymore.
You're out of the bubble. And
I'm out of the bubble, and I need to, but that's one thing too, because like people that have stayed in Gothenburg, they have kind of like grown up faster because they have their apartment and they have like a safe job. And then you move back and you have a job, but you don't have an apartment, and you need to find an apartment, and maybe you haven't saved up like that kind of money that they have, and you're kind of like starting like from the bottom again, and you kind of feel like you are younger than you are, but you're not, because you are rich in experience. Sorry, I need to do that. But so I think that was hard to like compare yourself. You should never compare yourself, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And you can hear you're a girl with a lot of ideas, and you get these down on paper.
Creativity,
with your writing. I can't wait to read more of your pieces. But that's nice. To wrap things up, Amanda. I mean, there's a lot of young hopefuls there listening to this that are thinking about the opportunity, and this has been a very good episode to learn deep from the inside what it is like, not just the concept of studying, getting a scholarship, and playing your sport, but a bit more how it is. But what's your advice to others that are thinking about the opportunity and doing this?
I think if you're looking at it like sport-wise, I think to be physically prepared, like very physically prepared, because even though like for me, I was a runner, like that was my strength on the field. Like I could run forever. I was fast. But if you're not used to like that amount of training, like you will be worn out pretty fast. So even though I could run forever, I couldn't because I was just overtrained, because I didn't take the time to really like prepare myself for that amount of training. So I think that is one thing, because the fitness aspect in the US is bigger than it is in Sweden. Like it's heavy lifting. It's a lot of running. It's just so much, and it's you doing it so many more times a week than you do it in Sweden, for example. So I think that is like a big aspect to it, to like be prepared to. And academically, take your time to study to the SAT.
Yeah, your favorite
yeah.
test.
Because you don't want to do it like 3 times like I did.
Yeah, it's not a test for the creative artists, right?
No, I had good grades in high school, and that's what helped me because I could convert those, like my grade, to like the score that I had. But then also just don't think about like just the soccer aspect, because yeah, you want to play good soccer, but you want to also have a good NARP life, as we say, if you are a non-athlete, regular person.
NARP. There we go.
NARP.
There we go.
We've been talking about NARPs.
Yeah.
Truls is that's his number one word.
Yeah. Yeah.
NARP.
The NARP life. Yeah.
The NARP life.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's in Richmond as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's spread all over. Yeah.
Didn't reach South
I mean,
Carolina.
it is important to be able to like feel that everything around soccer, that you are like, you feel good with that too, because I mean everything like aligns.
Yep.
If you are feeling good outside soccer, you will most likely feel good on the field as well. So I think that's important to just look at the bigger picture and not only like soccer team.
Creative words from a creative writer. That's
Exactly.
a good way to finish. Amanda, thank you very much. We can put. Do you still have your website?
I don't.
Oh, you don't. It's down.
Actually, no, it's down. But I am actually writing a book right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
About what?
We'll see. We'll see if it will get published or not. But yeah,
Hey,
that's
super
what I'm doing
exciting.
on the side.
Yeah. Well, we will be sure to
Keep us on the loop.
to spread the word about that book when it comes out.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. An author.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
not just a writer, an author.
Author as well. Yeah.
It's good to say, because then I actually need to, execute on it.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
exciting. We look for. I'm gonna read that for sure. Like, I can't wait.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
All right, Amanda.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.